The End of America. A three-act audio play by P.S. Proctor. Act 1. Scene 1 of the play. Adrift in a deep dark cosmic ocean, a band of 13 U.S. Navy servicemen. All loyalists, adrift in a perilous lifeboat, amid the vastness of the deep darkness of the cosmic sea. All dressed in the very uniform they were wearing when their ships were so violently destroyed. Thus, giving up the ghost, and enshrined into the great sacrifice. Throw into the fire, with the marked dice. And the debacle capper. And the heroics deployed, and they didn't think twice. Their name were in the local paper. Save one Lieutenant John F. Kennedy, who survived patrol torpedo boat PT-109's cataclysm, only to endure the lead role in the Zapruder film. In his lead, as the eternal sacrificial king. Ceremoniously, the young lieutenant assembles. At the dawn of the perilous new frontier. Holy in providence. At the immediate ageless bow of lifeboat. With back stiff, upright, he sits. With long handsome youthful face glowing. In the vast Neptune domain of his ghostly abstract position. Here to explain the real motive of his mission. His fellow sailors pack the rest of the smallish boat. Like plastic figures crowded in a boy's toy boat. Just before the lieutenant. All the way back to the stern. Each solemnly holding a large white flickering candle just under chin. Giving the extraordinary effect of 12 strange jack-o'-lanterns. Floating over their various costumes with minimal regalia. Each young gentleman silent, amazed, and gazing attentively toward the lieutenant, who is perched at the bow, as he rebukes the darkness and all its tyrants, through reiterating his renowned discourse. Both free, on course, and heroic. One Lieutenant John F. Kennedy states, "The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are as a people inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. On infiltration instead of invasion. On subversion instead of elections. On intimidation instead of free choice. On guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine. That combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried and not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed. No secret is revealed. Scene 2. A strange synthetic purple fog, all still. No locomotion, San Francisco on the Pacific Ocean. Boy, gazing into the inescapable vastness of the deep dark ocean, straight away into oblivion. Boy speaks center stage. On the Golden Coast. Staring into the vast ocean. Of endless toast, and tear. And all the heartache. That brought me here. Beguile, bereavement. And spellbinding disintegration. All the way to the tip of the spear. Over the bleeding sergeants. Preconditional serfdom apps. Obscured by the revelationary broken glare. Knack, instinct, and fading maps. View the demise of a once great nation. Now rotting at the head. In jagged chronic masturbation. Murder, folly, absurdism, and collapse. Not one bugle man left to play taps. No structure remains for the brain to synapse. More isolated than a sequestered monk. 370 million heart attacks. Not one trumpeter endures to blast out the funk that lingers in this subdesert salty air. Not one man alive who has a pair. Not any 21-gun salute. Nor a golden parachute. No family photo album indefinitely nestled in Granny's golden cedar trunk. Not one sharply dressed suit to manifest any milk and honey. Only this vague solitary memorial of a republic's demise, and the dull anguish of the stubborn longing for my one and only begotten long-lost honey, in the unreal aftermath of the boys' application of that venomous junk that they so meticulously prepare, like an assembly line of bunk. Not one trumpet left to blare. Boys who cancelled out celestial darning at the restorative hands of you, and you, and you, my darling. Oh, thy handmaiden's dexterity flickers like a bonfire, delicately in their instinctive voyage to bust out of subjugation beyond mere desire, to gather around simmering kettles of nurturing porridge, simmering over the gently stoked fire. Boys, punch drunk, bring about this viral sedition. Cerebral injury is projected from dark grisly concentration, kept in plausible deep freeze storage, quarantined into simulation, calamity and impotent forage, in remote desire and fornication, powerless to waves of secluding bands, and the omnipresent dreadful solitary eye that will never wink. You put us all to anticlimactic non-ceremonial brink of wholesale annihilation, boys. Barreling down Route 66 into Room 101, the snake does hiss. No need for action, no need to think. The swollen French kiss. Here is where it all gets done. Just click your heels onto the official link. Boys and nuclear toys redistributed these annexed lands, all to set up hollow patterns to sink. Honey, all my fact-checked memories, they rot and stink. Funny, it all was never really in my hands. You think? Boy, in station, lying prostrate on the beigeish sand, weary from travel, broken hand, lost in concentration. Busted stand, mourning the death of his beloved homeland. Treaty of Versailles litigation. Hoodwink, repetition. Weimar Republic, boys. Black crows, validation. The ever-missing, missing link. The gallows, hesitation. Science is the master. Join in and lip sync. Louder and faster. While gazing at the one-dimensional wall shadows. Past the stony isolation and dark meadows. And repeat mad idiocy and doublethink. Boy, now balled up sitting, with his arms around his legs. Knees up, hopeless in the howling chaos. Here's mud in your eye, boys. Down in the trenches. Not even a hobo remains. Remember the day the music died, boys? And y'all dried up all the veins. Michael Jackson's nose. Elvis drinking from a garden hose. Wheeliest, making love to Tokyo Rose. Rejoicing in debilitating pride. Left-handed sharp-angled planes. Smothering bewilderment. Ode to concealment. And the red tide. On the wrong ailment. On the wrong side of the street. Society is now matter. Then the crazies I see. And the fringes of the rotting landscape. Where we never again will meet, honey. I just know that at any minute, something is about to explode. And within the confines of the back seat, trying to maneuver through the manure, piled on thick and called so sweet, the bricks and mortar look the same. But how did I find myself in such an unfamiliar place of shame, where to freely speak one's mind is a sin? No more not having a dime, or not making many a rhyme, and acting like I'm rich all the time. Here, there's nothing that you can feel, no matter how you sell, boys. A Zoom meeting to be sublime. Here, a place where nothing is real. Accept everything that you managed to steal, boys. Including the dime. Here I am again, honey. Inside their broken plan. Living in a pseudo-reality. That's programmed to lack any meaning. Everything you bought with fiat money, boys. I'm out on the lam, shivering, honey. Everyone is programmed not to give a damn. Where all the Mad Hatter talking heads are only gleaming and effortlessly reading your propaganda sham, boys. Only selling that which you are scheming. That which has nothing to do with life. And only has to do with bleeding. Repetitiously repeated trifle. And piled on strife. Then comes the harrowing red-hot knife. A new order. Nines may be sixes. Sixes might be nines. And 2 plus 2. Now suddenly make 5. A ubiquitous ever-present AI voice. Sometimes shrieking, sometimes sounding like an Asian woman. In some forlorn voice generator. As though projected by an ambient speaker system. Bold-faced, as if firmly affixed onto the forefront. Like some bygone Halloween fright night. For boy to receive, some delicate seductive Jezebel. Deploying, controlling, manipulating her spell. In the amorphous twilight of the witching hour. The trespassing, hollow-eyed alliance. Perpetually declaring through their very existence. That only might make right. Bloodthirsty entity. Groping in unlawful corporate venture. Always scheming, forbidden acts implemented. With the utmost hubris and disembodied fright. Continuously illicit, and always hidden in plain sight. Now enter the boys. Can't play any more of those. Boy, you better pick a side. Not anywhere to run. Nowhere left to hide. Nowhere left to have fun. Just the isolated PlayStation ride. And no, you don't have a gun. And you do not have the sun, boy. Boys, I am tired of your noise. And I got one for you too, honey. Long before we lied. I got one for Rudolph, and the Easter Bunny, too. I got one long and wide. I got one for me. And I got one just for you. I got one, I got another one. I got one for you too. But nothing left inside. The stages of grief, a thief in the night. This long hard ride. You boys appropriated everything. Both natural and sober. You put pride on the altar. Along with falling into pleasure. You threw away humanity with the bathwater. You put down all the stolen treasure. You took us for a desperate ride. Spun the wheel. Cut the wick, didn't measure. Pulled out the very particle of light. Wearing in the heavens, all October. Here, I will float in flight, boys. And at my back, the collective decapitation. The empty desolate train station. The dense soul-murdering vibration. The satellite rock and roll radio station. The highways empty of auto destination. The snuffed out warmth and computation. No more eyes to dart from eyes in hesitation. No faith to ferment hope in meditation. No love to gather in the great arch of fermentation. All access diluted in runaway inflation. Not even one weeping widow's lamentation. To call for an end to the never mention. Not a scarlet harlot street calculation. Nothing but absolute devastation, boys. Boy, now on his feet. Walking all alone on the ocean. Ebb as he ends his monologue. Reprise. Spun the wheel. Cut the wick, didn't measure. Lost decades rehearsing dissociation. Detachment, alienation. And no redemption. Yet, longing for treasure. While seeking only pleasure. Spun the wheel. Cut the wick, didn't measure. Conditioned in cowardness. Drowned in leisure. Echo, repeat, and repetition. Rerun pleasure and neo-segregation. End of part 1 of the first act of the play.